So, you've probably heard the term floating around the internet, zoonotic disease. It's been popping up in media recently due to COVID and monkeypox and bird flu and all that. So basically, what a zoonotic disease is, it's a disease, so virus, bacterial, fungal, etc., that is originally found in an animal reservoir, but has since spread to humans. And what a reservoir is in terms of epidemiology is a species that a certain disease is just found in. That's where it is. For example, bats tend to be reservoirs for multiple viruses due to their bonkers fucking immune systems, but kind of the most well-known one is rabies. So this animal is just a carrier for that disease, and then through human interaction or mutation or something, it just spreads to the human population and causes all sorts of fun and spicy problems like global pandemics. But what I think is very interesting about zoonotic diseases specifically is oftentimes they do not cause disease or any symptoms in the reservoirs that they are originally found in. So, for example, again, bats. Bats do not get rabies often. There are some cases where they can, but most of the time they do not exhibit any symptoms from and therefore do not die from infection by the rabies virus. However, if the bats bite another organism, like a dog or human or a raccoon or something, those do exhibit the rabies symptoms. Another example is Lyme disease. So Lyme disease is carried in ticks, and then when a human gets bitten by a tick, they get Lyme disease, which is not a good time. However, the ticks themselves do not exhibit any symptoms of Lyme disease, and often animals that ticks are normally found on in the wild, such as deer or bears or elk, also do not exhibit symptoms of Lyme disease. This is due to the fact that most of the time, reservoirs of disease, the disease is not pathogenic to them. Most of the time, the disease is just another part of the animal's normal microbiome. So those animals' bodies, they're adapted to the disease, and so if they have that bacteria or virus just in or on them, nothing really happens because they are adapted to having that disease. But when the bacteria or virus or other microbe is spread to a host that it is not normally found in, the main example being humans, that's when the problem starts, because the human immune system and microbiome and all that is not adapted to that specific disease, so it tends to just go crazy, take over, and cause all sorts of problems. However, there is another kind of interesting case where the reservoir does exhibit symptoms of the disease. For example, Ebola. We don't 100% know what reservoir that Ebola resides in most of the time, but in every case of organism that has been found to have an Ebola infection, there has been symptoms and it has been not a good time. So the symptoms aren't just humans, it's also been found in, I think, dogs. I think there's been some cases of dogs exhibiting symptoms, as well as other primate relatives such as monkeys, chimpanzees, and gorillas. They also can exhibit symptoms from Ebola. So yeah, I just think that it's interesting how some microbe can be just a normal part of the animal's microbiome and just be there chilling, and if it goes to a host that is not suited to that specific microbe, it can cause all sorts of problems.